Pardon?
So technical.
Oh, that's not like a pre-game thing. I do it to sync the audio to every time I do that. Everyone's like, "Are you amping yourself up?" No, it's how you like sync up the audio to the video.
Oh,
it's like a
I
spike.
see. Oh.
But yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
That's okay. It's been like 2 weeks in the making.
It has been. We got there eventually.
Yeah, you're a busy chick.
Try to keep myself busy.
So tell everyone what you do and who you are.
My name's Gangell and I am a Muay Thai trainer at Boars Martial Arts. I run Females Fighting Forward. I've done that for about 9 years now. So that's a female-only martial arts and self-defense program. And I also am the promoter of Pride Fight Series, which is a new show here in South Australia.
Yeah, how many of them have you got
I have
so far?
Ran 3 events so far. I decided to start it right before COVID kicked off, so my 3rd event got cancelled maybe 4 or 5 times, so that one event took me about 2 years to run.
Fuck.
So it's been a long time with very few events. But
And you run them out of Noarlunga?
I've ran 1 out of Noarlunga. I ran my first 2 out of a private venue in Unley. So I'm
like
still,
a hole?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to find my feet a little bit, find a venue where I can kind of rinse and repeat, but I haven't found where I kind of want to set myself up permanently yet. So we'll see how we go. I'm giving myself 5 shows to find my groove, and then...
Apparently they're really good. I haven't been to any yet. Miles was telling me. Miles said they're really good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do pride myself on the show.
That's a pun.
Oh, that's such a shit pun. But yeah, I put a lot of effort into it. I think from being a fighter to then becoming a trainer, I kind of knew how I wanted the show to be based on what I would want to fight on. So I try and,
You've
go
had
the
a few
extra mile.
pro fights as well, haven't you?
I've had 25 fights all up. So
That's pretty... For Muay Thai fighters, though... Like, they pump out insane numbers with fights. Like, those Thais, they'll have, like, 300 fights before they're 16.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It was probably when I was at my peak, there weren't heaps of females doing it. Like, in the last couple of years, it's really boomed, and there's heaps of girls in all the divisions. But when I was fighting, there weren't as many that were above an amateur level, so I actually didn't rack up as many as what I would have liked to. But
I think I've seen one of your fights. There was a Jordan Fielding card. I think it was one of the last knees I went to. And I think you fought on it, but you lost a close decision, but I thought you won. Like, it seemed like it was a bit of a robbery.
I think I know the one that you're talking about.
Like, it was a pretty... Oh, it was a robbery. I can say whatever I want. Yeah, it looked like it was a pretty big robbery. I think I went with my fiancé, and I'm pretty sure you were fighting a girl, and it was pretty clear that you won, but they'd, like, fucked you. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, well, decision's a decision, but I know the fight you're talking about.
I think that was on a Jordan Fielding card. I think that was... I'm not sure, yeah. It must have been. I think it was.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. It was a solid fight nonetheless, and I'm pretty happy with how it went, so it is what it is.
Yeah, Muay Thai is a brutal sport, though.
Oh, it definitely can be. Like, especially if you're on the wrong side of a decision, it can be a bit rough,
That's probably worse than losing via getting KO'd or finished almost.
Sometimes I think so, because you put in all the effort and then you don't get the decision. But, I mean, it happens often sometimes, and, oh well.
Yeah, it's a rough sport. We were just talking about before, like, my mic always has to be, like, here compared to my guests, because my voice sounds like I'm sick all the time because of Josh, Braithwaite. He fucking... when we were at the gym, I'd talk heaps. I knew he was always going to bash me because he's, like, 6 foot tall, and he's been doing it since he was born. But I always used to talk heaps of shit to him before training. So when we used to spar, Miles would say to everyone, all right, spar light, you and Josh, you could just fight. And I'd be like, oh, fuck, here we go. And I could never make it past his teep because his legs were so long. He just teeped me away and then punched me from, like, over where that wall is. And one day he hit me with it was a right uppercut, left straight, because he's a southpaw. It was a right uppercut, left straight, and it was perfect. My head just went donk. And then you just heard Miles go, ooh, and then he just fucking hit me with the biggest left straight, and my nose just went boof. And ever since then, my nose was stuffed before that, but ever since then, I just can't breathe out of it at all.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than just copping a straight to the nose.
Oh, it's just worse when... And I still kept talking shit. I didn't... Like, the whole round, I still kept talking shit. But, yeah, it's not nice.
That is the definition of talk shit, get a hit.
Yeah, you'd prefer to almost get, like, rattled so you can't feel it. I was still there, so it just caned.
Oh.
Like, I remember I got head kicked by Harry Gabrielson once.
Yep.
And I've never been head kicked before, and I leant right into it. And that was the first time I was sparring. I was like, I did not know where I was. We were still sparring, but like I was on full autopilot. I had no idea what I was doing.
Sometimes they're the best sessions. We've all been there.
Oh, I try not to go there. I try not to. But yeah, so do you have any fights in the works, or are you just kind of focusing on promoting and teaching?
Yeah, pretty much promoting and teaching. Pre-COVID, I went over to Japan for a training camp with Kana, who's a world champion. So I trained there for 4 weeks, and I was planning on having my retirement fight shortly after that, but then COVID hit.
So you haven't got that one in yet?
No, I haven't got that one in yet. And then I was offered a title shot in Germany this September, but just with a few things with work going on, I wasn't able to take the opportunity, and the rule set wasn't ideal or anything like that.
The K1 rules?
Yeah, it was, and I thought it was going to be my last one, and I really didn't want to...
You want to go out on a Muay Thai fight?
I didn't want to finish up on K1. I'm not... It's not my style. It's not my thing. I
For
genuinely
anyone that
don't
doesn't know,
it.
K1... What's it? The K1's no knees in the clinch?
So you can't clinch.
You can't clinch at all.
You can't elbow. So
that's not Muay Thai.
Nah. So, and it's... I genuinely... I've trained for K1 twice, and I genuinely didn't enjoy it. Like, I didn't like it. I like to clinch. I like to catch kicks, sweep, all that sort of stuff. So I didn't take that opportunity. A lot of people thought I was a bit crazy for that, but I'd like to finish on a Muay Thai fight, so I'll probably head to Thailand and
do it there.
Yeah, finish up in the motherland. Like
Lumpney Stadium or something. That'd be awesome.
Oh God, I wish.
You have to be a name to. You have to be like a really, really big figure to fight in Lumpney, don't you?
As a female, it's very hard as well to get into the stadiums over there, but. I'd love to finish up over there and do it there, but I think my heart's in my job and teaching and having my own fighters and promoting now, so you can't be a pro and half-ass it. It's a full-time job, like respect people that manage to be a trainer and a fighter at the same time, but I might hold 20 to 30 rounds of pads a day.
You have to dedicate 100% to either or.
Yeah, that's it. And I can't half-ass it. And, I don't want to get back in there and go backwards from where I was. I finished in a position that I was really happy with, and, I don't really want to go back.
I feel bad for even making you come here now. You were telling me you woke up at fucking 4 o'clock to go for a run. I'm like, why are you here? You should be having a nap or something.
Nah, none
machine.
of that.
That's insane.
But obviously the fighters start training, they run at 5:30 and start training at 6, so that means I have to start work at 6 o'clock, so if I want to get something in for myself, it's got to be done before I start, so... Do you run from
the gym just around like Panatalinga?
Yeah, so we just do a loop. There's a few different distances that we do, so we run around there and then head straight into training after that, so... Yeah.
And you have like a belt system, don't you? In Muay Thai, you do like a belt system or a grading?
We do gradings, but it's just more... It's a bit of fun for the members that don't want to fight. Like, it gives them something to work towards.
It makes heaps of sense because, obviously, if you don't fight, there's no kind of benchmark of where you are.
Nah, there's not. And majority of our people have got no interest in anything to do with the ring. They do it for fun. We've got heaps of families and stuff. So a lot of people will be like, oh, there's no grading system in Muay Thai. And 100% there's not.
It's just more for gratification for the people that don't want to get punched in the face.
That's right. And they still get punched in the face. But I found with our members, we just needed to give them something to work towards. Like, we do some... we do inter-club sparring, and we have in-house sparring competitions, but giving them something to work towards and give them a little bit of a test. I find people trained harder, they sharpen their skills up a little bit more. So it's something we do purely in-house, just to give them something to work towards.
Especially for kids. It would be massive with kids, because we were talking, I haven't released the podcast yet, but I was telling you I did a podcast with Taylor. I did it last week, and she's come up with a system, because the one thing wrestling lacks, and why she thinks jiu-jitsu is taken off a lot harder, is because of the grading system. Like, kids they get so excited when they upgrade to another belt, whereas wrestling has none of that. So she's like, I think she said she's like made a belting system for wrestling that she's going to start trialing with kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like we had always done it for our juniors, but then the adults as well. You know, like, you don't want people to drop off because they're stale in their training. You know, you want to keep giving them something to work towards. So it works for us. It may not work for every club, but I also find that we teach a little bit better as well, because we tend to be like, oh, okay, these guys have got this coming up, so we need to make sure that they have this level of skill. You know, their
more structure.
Yeah, their clinch work needs to improve. We actually need to teach them to set up elbows, whereas normally it can be a little bit easier just to go, all right, we'll just do some hard pad work, you know. So we're actually teaching, making sure that everyone's getting
covering
better.
all the bases.
Yeah, that's it. So
shout out to Eric. Eric just got graded. He was so happy. I seen on his Instagram.
Oh, I remember I couldn't believe it. Like, he's obviously been around for so long, and he sponsored all the shows. Like, he sponsored Knees of Fury when I used to fight on it, and obviously he sponsored Miles, and that's kind of how I knew who he was. And then he sponsored my show, and I was like, do you actually train? Like, do you do anything? You go to all these events? And he was like, no.
He's got a good body type for it.
And then I was
He's so long.
Yeah, I was like, here you go. You're going to train. Let's go. I'll hold pads for you and stuff. And then he started, and yeah, he kind of really enjoyed it.
Yeah, he said he loved it when he seen me. Because I did the podcast with him, and we were talking off camera, and he was saying how much he loved it. And I was, in my head, I was like, it makes sense, because you got such a Muay Thai body. He's so long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
He'd be able to rip a kick in.
Yeah, he does all right. Does all right when he stops whinging.
Is he a whinger? Is he?
He's a whinger.
No way.
Oh, sometimes.
Just too early. What's going on there?
Oh, he's.
Just out him right now. Out him
I
live.
love you, Eric. I really do.
He's such a nice guy. I've got to have him on again soon. Yeah, he's the reason. He told me, I was like, oh, if you think of anyone cool to get on the podcast, and he's like, get Carly, and I was like, oh, that'd be awesome.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. But yeah, no, it's a good gym you got there. How many members do you have? You're always busy.
Oh, it's hard to tell.
Is it very female driven as well, isn't it?
We're about 50-50.
Yeah?
Yeah, dead on with that.
That's still better than most gyms. I'm sure most gyms are like 80-20.
Yeah, no, we're about 50-50, and like I said, we got heaps of families as well. So we've got like mum, dad, 3 kids that come. So yeah, how many? We probably have between sort of 300 and 400, I reckon.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, and obviously you get people coming in and out, but we've been pretty consistent. Like, a lot of our instructors and our members, they've been with my dad, who started it 27 years ago. Like, a lot of them have been there for 20 plus years.
So your dad started Boars?
Yeah.
In the same location?
No, so he originally started in Morfett Vale somewhere when he was younger, obviously 27 years ago, and then we went up to O'Halloran Hill, and then we moved down to where we are now, back to Woodcroft, on the corner of Pimpala and Palatinga Road, and that's a wicked location there. We've
it is. You cannot miss it.
Yeah,
it's so visible to the public as well. It's not hidden like a lot of gyms are kind of tucked away. Yours is just there. Like, you always drive past it. But yeah, no. So he started 27 years ago, and you have an older sister as well.
Yeah, so
Does she fight?
Used to. So yeah. I've got a brother and a sister, and they were more so involved in. They did like traditional martial arts and boxing, and then I decided that I wanted to do Muay Thai, which is kind of how that journey kick-started. So yeah, my uncle's also a trainer at the gym as well. So
have you ever trained like boxing or any other kind of martial art?
Yeah, I've done quite a few. I kind of try and dabble in all of it, like just for myself, like a bit of personal development and know what's out there as well. So I've been doing a bit of BJJ. I've done a fair bit of boxing as well.
Would you ever have an MMA fight?
Or probably not MMA.
No?
I'd have a boxing fight for sure, but MMA, it's definitely not for me.
Really? Just what is it? The grappling or the?
I don't know.
A lot of people say it's really violent, but Muay Thai is a way more violent sport. It's fucking brutal. It's insane. You don't get a breather to like. You can't just take someone down and just compose yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think it's just a personal preference. Like some people love MMA, some people love Muay Thai. I mean, I can respect all of them, but
Do you watch ONE FC?
I do. Yeah.
The 4-ounce glove Muay Thai is so good.
That I would do.
That change. Do you know? I watch this weapon. I just am infatuated with this bloke, that Liam Harrison.
He's cool, hey.
When he hits pads, it's so intimidating. Like, I've never ever seen anyone hit pads so aggressively, and he's so clean.
He is.
And he's so tight. Like, everything's just 100. He's the epitome of Muay Thai. It's just like 100% power, perfect technique.
Yeah.
He's insane.
Haggerty's like that as well.
Oh, no. Is he a Thai bloke?
Nah, no, he's not. I think he's from the UK, but he's a little bit lighter, but he's the same. Like, you watch him hit pads and you're like, I would never want to spar him. Like, never.
Yeah, because you can tell it's like there's no chilling from that. Like, that's just them.
Yeah.
But and imagine hitting that in 4-ounce gloves, and then there's elbows and knees. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But I'd still rather that than MMA.
Well, yeah. That's kind of the best of both worlds, because for everyone who doesn't like MMA, when it goes to the ground grappling, you kind of still get the violence of the 4-ounce gloves.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, I like the grappling. I think it's just more the ground and pound. Like, it's
like they're down and yeah.
Yeah, like the one thing I like about Muay Thai is, like, if you're both on your feet, you're both able to fight. If someone's on the floor,
You can't hit them.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
There's been a couple MMA fights where have you seen that? It's a very famous clip of Jorge Masvidal carrying Ben Askren.
No.
This Ben Askren bloke was like he used to fight in ONE FC, I think, and he was undefeated. He was a wrestler, and the UFC finally got him over for his last couple fights, and he was talking heaps of shit to this really violent dude, Jorge Masvidal, and Masvidal obviously knew that as soon as the fight started, because Ben Askren was horrible at stand-up. He had no form of stand-up, so he knew as soon as the bell rang, he was going to go for like a single leg takedown. So he faked going right and jumped up and hit him with the most violent flying knee.
Actually, I have seen it.
And knocked him out. But then he was clearly knocked out. He turned around and like just threw an overhand right into his face while he was unconscious. And it was like, he deserved it, but like, he was dumb. Like, you can see why people kind of get put off with MMA in that regard.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not necessary.
Nah, but like, I respect it.
Well, if you're gonna talk shit, if you're gonna talk shit, as he said, it was super necessary. Like, if you're gonna talk shit, if it's someone that you're really being humble with, and you're someone that you like, and then you go and do it. But then again, the difference between, because I'm not sure in Muay Thai there's not as much money, but in the UFC they get like a win-loss bonus as well. So if you win, you get 50% more of your money. So you have to keep hitting them until that ref like pulls them off at the end of the day, if it means another 200 grand.
Well, that's right. And at the end of the day, the UFC, it's all about a show. You know, like they're great showmen.
Muay Thai is very different in that regard, where it's a lot more about the sport. Like it's very fighter forward. It's like a lot more humility in it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more of a sport. If anything, less about entertainment. It's
a sport. It's more like a boxing. Like, boxing's more of a sport. MMA is just fighting.
Yeah.
But it's very technical now. Like, it's obviously very technical, but I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not big on watching UFC, but I love going to the local fights. Like, I'll support the local MMA scene and whatnot, and I respect it. And yeah, but it's
there's
just
nothing like a fight show. It brings out the worst in everyone.
Oh, I tell you what, some of the stuff you deal with as a promoter, it's crazy. Well, and like mine's a Muay Thai show. I feel like MMA would be
I don't know, because I've been to some Knees of Furies where it's just like the fucking Wild West. Like, it's just insane, because everyone's just hyped up. Like, everyone's adrenaline's going through the roof. You're blackout drunk, and then it's just it's just on. But they're the best nights. Like, it's so fun. But MMA shows do get a bit wild too.
Yeah, I can imagine. I went to one, I don't know, it might have been a couple of years ago, and someone was scaling the cage from the outside.
Yeah,
and I was
right.
like, what? Why
That's
would you
not
even,
normal.
Why would you think to do that?
That's not
to
like a
run
normal
towards
event.
the cage and run up it.
I'm really surprised no one's ever jumped off the barriers at Don Polsky, like the upper bit.
Imagine.
I've always wondered, I'm like, why has that never happened?
I hope that never
It
happens.
probably shouldn't, but like, it's really surprising as to how drunk people get at those shows.
Oh, yeah, and do you know what? I've actually never understood it, though, because, I mean, maybe that's just me, because I go to shows and...
You're usually fighting on them, or you're with
so
teammate.
I never go out to the fights for entertainment. I'm always there, doing something, but... sometimes I look at people who are like super drunk and I'm like, you actually have no idea what's even going on in the ring.
You're just waiting for the knockout. A lot of them are just waiting for the knockout. They don't really care about the fight. There was one lot of fights I went to once. Oh, I think it was when Cody Bradshaw had his debut and this bloke Watto from the gym had his debut as well. Can't remember what card it was, but that was such a violent Knees of Fury. There was this massive Kiwi dude. He was like he would have been close to 7 foot and he was huge. And there was this other bloke who was big, but he looked tiny in comparison. And he leg chopped him once and it sounded like a gunshot.
Is this Brando versus...
He was a big
I reckon
Islander.
that's the one they just rematched on the last Knees of Fury at Etzer.
Same fighters.
Same fighters.
Did the same thing happen?
No, Brando won on points. They went the full 5 rounds.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, fucking hell. I just remember hearing that. It was one leg kick and it just sounded like a gunshot. And it was like, what can you do when someone's that big? There's there's not as much technique to... Well, obviously there is because he came back. That's impressive.
Yeah, I had a photo with the New Zealander and
He's massive, isn't he?
His fist was the size of my head.
Just terrifying.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even reckon I could take a leg kick from you at 5%.
There's some people that just have different... Like Josh Braithwaite, when he's kicking the bag, I remember once he was coming back off of like a stint of not training for ages and he came to M16. I don't think he'd been there yet. And he was just doing Flinders Muay Thai things and working out an hour before like the actual class started. He's like an animal. He was just smashing the bag and he was kicking the bag that hard. People were like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, it sounded like a gunshot. He can generate so much power with his legs. Like, some people are just real special with their hips.
I can remember him hitting pads actually back in the Flinders days, and he was really good.
He's got massive kicks, like massive kicks. He's got a great left hand.
And you'd know too.
Oh yeah, yeah. So when you went to Japan, did you just go for strictly training, or did you go for leisure as well?
I went there strictly for training. So Kana was training for a world title fight, a defence, I think. And the manager wanted to select someone from Australia to come over and do the
That's
training
pretty
camp.
cool. Oh, so you were that's sick. You were
Yeah.
part of her training camp.
Yeah, so I was picked to go over there. So we train. I just went in there once a day, and I was pretty much just a sparring partner.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. It was the hardest sparring I've ever done in my whole life. Like, in Japan, they fight when they spar, and that's every single day. So we alternated between one day it was boxing sparring, the next day it was K1 sparring, and it was hardcore. Like, I couldn't believe how they would spar because I got to watch the guys as well, and most of them were world champions in this particular
And they're
gym.
just fighting.
They were fighting, like the way that
That's
they
not
hit
good.
each other. Oh, like the recovery times though was, they were always so sore walking in, and I was like, God.
It's just not good because, like, even Thais, because they obviously, the reason they can fight so actively is because they play spar. Like, their sparring's very
that's right.
light. It's more like a dance.
This was very different for me. Like, we don't, we sometimes hard spar at our gym, but most of the time you should be able to train the next day comfortably. But
During an important camp, though, it's probably important that you get some really hard rounds in adversity because there's only so much adversity you can get from, like, touch sparring or...
Oh yeah, that's exactly right.
Sometimes a fight is necessary before the fight just to see your, like, the reaction timings all there and all that jazz.
Yeah, I completely agree. And sometimes I think that's the most important for your first timers, because you don't want to get someone to get in there and completely
And
crumble.
freeze.
Yeah, that's always my worst fear for my fighters. And sometimes I think you really don't know what they're going to do until they have that first fight. Like, it's...
Well, you can't really ever prepare someone for that adrenaline dump, can you?
Not at all. And a lot of the time they exceed our expectations and they perform really well, but it is always that fear in the back of the head of, you know, you really don't know how people are going to react under that pressure or how they're going to, you know, deal with the crowd.
Have you ever had an adrenaline dump, like a real bad one?
I haven't personally, no, but I've had a couple of fighters that have had it. And then once you get that first fight out the way, it's all right, because you can work with the fighter and work out how you're going to approach the next fight, work out what triggered them to, you know, freeze up or whatever. But, yeah, that first fight's pretty terrifying. I always get nervous putting someone in for the first time and just praying that they can at least protect themselves, you know. And, like, we've all been to a fight show and you see someone and you kind of got to turn away because you're like, oh, they're just getting...
It's getting peppered, yeah. I had a big weekend, and on my travels at the pub, I seen Jack and Trent Spacey, and we were talking. I was just rambling, drunk shit to him for ages. They're going to come on the podcast though, which would be cool. But they were saying, like, they're never scared on fight. I think Jack was saying he's never really scared on fight day because he knows he's put in the work. Like, he knows that he's trained harder, and that's probably like. When you get to fight day and you get that adrenaline dump, it's probably a lot of you doubting yourself, I imagine. Yeah,
sometimes, or just, you know, not knowing what to expect or how it's going to go. You know, the thing that I really, find interesting about fighters is people always think, oh, you must get nervous about getting hurt. It's like the last thing you'd ever think about. Like, I've never gotten in there and been worried about getting hurt, ever. It's just more the, shit, I hope I perform.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to underperform or...
And you don't want to waste, like, you don't want to do your trainer, like, injustice by just going out there and getting caned.
Yeah, that's literally the biggest worry. Couldn't care less.
Is it more stressful fighting or training or watching someone you've trained fight?
Being a trainer. Way worse. Being a fighter, I mean, it's hard, obviously, but God, it was an easy life. You train hard, you got to keep yourself in check. Trainer tells you what to do.
As long as you, like, tick all the boxes, there's no issue, really.
Exactly right, and you just have to worry about yourself, whereas, like, being a trainer, you know, you're responsible for their weight, for making sure they're recovering.
You're a therapist.
That's an understatement. You're a counsellor, psychologist, you know, put it all in one. You know, their recovery, their nutrition, you know, if they don't make weight, that's on the trainer, not necessarily the fighter, in my opinion anyway. So, you know, you've got to be across all of that, and you might have at the moment, we got a fight team of 7 or 8 people that are actively fighting. So being across all of that and making sure they're all getting what they need out of their training, like, it's very stressful. And then also when they get in the ring, I always think if they lose or if they get hurt, I've done something.
It's your fault,
that's on me, yeah. Like, I've got to ask myself, how did I...
Do them wrong.
What did I miss out there? Because, you know, that's not on them, that's on me.
Yeah, that would be so stressful. I couldn't imagine. I remember when I used to go to Josh's fights, his last fight was crazy to watch. And I remember I'd just watch his Mrs. Letitia, and she'd be so nervous and just... like up and down, and then Josh's last fight was at it was at the Theberton Theatre. It was the Knees of Fury Theberton Theatre.
Number 50, I reckon. I think I fought on that card.
And Josh was fighting this bloke, and it was a pretty even fight, but then I think in the second round Josh got hit really hard and kind of got knocked out on his feet, and the bloke was unloading on him, and he was just shielding up. And he was fighting back, but he was out. He was not there. And then he fought his way to a draw.
Jeez, that's impressive.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck. Because that's the closest I've been to someone fighting. Like, I've never seen, like, my best friend fight before.
It's scary, isn't it?
Oh, it wasn't scary. It was more like, fuck. Oh, I guess it would. It would be
and you
classified.
want them to do well, and you're like, I hope they don't. You know.
Well, if it was after he broke my nose, I would have hoped the bloke finished the job. No, he fuck. I just remember seeing him hit, and he's just. I was like, oh, he's out. He's out on his feet, and the guy was keeping him up, but then he started fighting back, and he fought his way to a draw.
That's good.
That was the night. Do you remember the guy who used to train with Kyle?
Yes. Yep.
That was the night he got hit really badly, and blood went all over the audience.
I remember that, but I can't picture
that was brutal. I think he got his jaw broken, but he used to fight really hard as well.
Kyle was good.
Yeah, he's a weapon. He has similar attributes to Josh, same kind of body type.
Flinders have had some great fighters come out of there.
Yeah, they train like maniacs.
That they do. But yeah, the fight game, it's a funny world to be in.
Do you do anything else besides fight, or is this just? Do you have anything to kind of take your mind off fighting?
I probably, the last couple of years since I've kind of had my own fighters, I've had to do that to kind of keep myself sane a little bit, because obviously I train at the gym, I work at the gym full time.
Yeah, it's your whole life.
My family's there, a lot of my friends are there. So I do a bit of CrossFit as well, keeps me busy, do a bit of running, and yeah, I did start doing BJJ. It's just something to learn, but yeah, it's nice to step out of that work environment sometimes and kind of socialise in different groups a little bit. And I find if I'm doing stuff for myself, that's why I get up so early and run before I work, because I'm a better coach when I go in, whereas if it just consumes my life, it can be a bit of a drag. And
yeah, it'd be draining, because your whole life is based around that gym.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I try and do a little bit of everything, and
it's pretty cool that you've gotten to travel and stuff with Muay Thai though, because it's obviously not owning your own gym and trainings like makes it profitable, but if you're like a full-time Muay Thai fighter, it's probably pretty hard to make like a really consistent living from.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool that it's been able to like go to Japan or get offered to go to Germany. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been really lucky to travel a lot. Like I fought in Malaysia, I fought in Thailand a few times. I went to America, I've done Japan. So
do you fight in America?
No, I just did a training camp there. But yeah, that was sick. That was probably the best quality training I've ever done over in America at
Where'd you
CSA
train?
Gym. CSA Gym, which is in California. It's where Gaston Bolanos and...
Nice.
Oh, God, mental blank now. Kevin Ross is out of there, so there's some pretty big fighters.
Muay Thai is not massive in America, is it?
I think it's getting bigger everywhere.
It's
thanks
big
to
in Australia.
ONE FC. Yeah, it is. It's big in the UK.
Yeah, it's massive in the UK.
Yeah. There's not heaps of money in it, but I think it's getting better for sure.
When I went over to the Greek islands and like Cyprus, where my parents are from, kickboxing's massive over there. Not Muay Thai is starting to popularise, but kickboxing is huge over there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of money in kickboxing, like a lot more than in Muay Thai. So over in Japan, like the pay that they get is absolutely insane. Well, obviously they paid for me to go over there. So my whole trip was paid for, everything. Plus I got paid like a working wage to be there. And that's what the promoter did for one fighter to train. So like you can imagine the amount of money that's in K1. It's huge.
Yeah, well, Alistair Overeem and all that used to get paid a shit ton for K1. When they were K1 champs and all that, but ONE FC apparently pay really well, like especially their top stars like Ben Askren, who was the champ there that we were talking about before. They used to give him bonuses in exotic cars.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, but I'm sure they look after the. I guarantee the Muay Thai fighters that are elite there are getting paid to them more than any Muay Thai fighter in the world. Yeah,
which is great. I don't think it will ever be at the level of UFC. I think it's just not the
apparently
same
it's
sport.
bigger because in Asia, obviously Asia, it's bigger in the sense where Asia has like a mass population, so the eyes watching is probably bigger, but the extreme fans aren't as like MMA, UFC have like diehard fans.
That they do. They're at the pub every card.
Yeah, yeah, there we are. I like to watch them at home. I can't go to the pub and watch fights.
Oh, I used to have a sponsor for my show, and they would host like us as the VIP tables. So I'd take people from the gym down there or whatever, and it just got to the point where I was like, I actually can't watch the fights out in public.
It gets pretty wild.
You just listen to the things people say and you just sit there and you're just like, this is horrible.
Just do that. Why isn't he punching him?
I'm like, this is why people buy it at home. And
I only watch them at home. I like my favourite way to watch fight, like a UFC fight or any kind of MMA fight, is to like sit in bed and get disgusting takeaway and just zone in. I don't like anyone talking to me. Even my fiance, I'm like, just don't talk to me on fight day. It's the only thing I watch. It's the only sport I watch. So when it's like a good card, I'm like, I'll turn my phone off. I won't talk to anyone. But yeah, because then you get people at the pub who are like in your ear and they're like, he should have just done this. Well, he didn't.
Oh yeah, or they're like, oh, I would have just done that, and you're like, no, you wouldn't. You've never trained a day in your life. Like,
yeah.
Do you know how difficult that is to pull that off? Yeah, it's really frustrating to sit there and listen to people talk. So.
Oh, it would be more for you than me because I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah.
You probably do. You've been training enough.
I've been training enough, but just the fucking... I've always wanted to a fight, but like I said, the weight cut, can't be bothered. I'm so lazy like that. And the thought of losing kills me, like cripples me. Yeah.
That's just part of it.
Yeah, it just cripples me though. I don't know why.
That should motivate you more.
Just fucking cripples me. But I don't know. Yeah, it'd be cool to do like an interclub or just something little like that. But I don't want to wear headgear.
Well, it's an interclub.
Yeah, I know.
You have to.
Yeah, I know. Maybe you can start on a promotion interclub, like, but full fights.
That's a fight show.
Just a fight show. So you're trying to get one in at the end of the year? Yeah,
I think so, depending on venues. There's end of the year is pretty busy. So I'm the state rep for Muay Thai Australia.
Oh, really?
So nationals will be at the end of the year as well. So I've got to kind of work between going to nationals, taking a team up there, and then also putting my show on. So I'm kind of just trying to work out where I can slot it in a little bit, but it's logistically it's a lot to put a show together. Like every single contractor you need has to be available.
Do you kind of just have to go balls deep into it, like just almost throw everything and just kind of give it 100% focus?
Yeah, it's pretty much, I reckon, 2 to 3 months full time planning one show. Yeah.
Bloody hell, you don't realise how much is ticking in these shows. Like when you watch like a massive card on any, like even like a Knees of Fury, like you'd think they'd just call people up and be like, you want to fight this person, you want to fight this person, but then you got to think of like licensing, just all the legalities. I'm sure there's heaps of legalities.
It's crazy. Like honestly, the fight card and the fighters are
easiest
the easiest part of the night. Like honestly, like matchmaking is a dream. Like it's something that I really enjoy.
That'd be fun for you if you're a fan of the sport, because you can just make the fights you've always wanted to see.
That's right, and I literally write them in my phone. I see 2 fighters fight, I'm like, that's a match that I want. But then it's all the other stuff that goes with the fight show. It's just...
And you were talking about before, your fight show has alcohol, which would be another like whole...
Yeah, and making sure, because when I run my show, that's my licence, so it's not the venue licence. So I have to do a lot of work and make sure everything's set, because at a lot of the shows, if something goes wrong because someone's intoxicated or something like that, it's on the venue. Whereas for me, I'm on that licence, so I've got to make sure everything's there. You know, it's not the venue organising your security and your exits. And
I was going to say, do you legally have to have security because you have alcohol?
Yeah, for sure. And because it's a fight show, you need extra security on top of that. So the legalities behind it, if you do it properly, there's a lot. Do
they say you need extra security because there's fighters there? Really?
Well, because it's a fight show, so obviously it can attract a certain type of crowd. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And I like to think my show, in comparison to a couple of the others, mine's quite family friendly.
Which is good.
My last one was quite big, but I have juniors on the card, and it's kind of I try and have a lot of female fights, and it actually attracts a lot of families. So at, you know, like maybe a Knees of Fury, it's predominantly male that are there watching, whereas my show I had kind of quite a diverse crowd. So I try and make sure that everything's in
Which is
check.
good because it gets different people into the sport or into combat sports. Like a little girl might come that wouldn't have gone to a knees, and she'd be like, "Oh, I want to do that."
Well, that's how I started. I went to my first fight show, and I watched. There was one female fight on the card, and then I said to Dad, I was like, "That's what I want to do." And I don't think he realised what I meant by that, but now it's my full-time job for the rest of my life.
No shit, there's some fucking savage females out there now, though. Like
It's incredible.
There's some savages. I'm not sure if you're heaps familiar with Valentina Shevchenko.
Yep, she was a 13 times world Muay Thai champ before she went into MMA.
Yeah.
So was Joanna.
John Jacek.
Yep.
She just retired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's been fighting forever. All of the best female fighters probably did come from Muay Thai. I think Chris Cyborg came from Muay Thai.
Yep. And Holly Holm came from kickboxing.
Yeah, and she has like a really phenomenal boxing record as well. But Valentina,
she's next level, hey.
She might be the best fighter of all time, just in general. Like
she's pretty impressive.
She obviously the thing I can see how some people deter from female fighting if they're just casual fans, because there's not as much, in some cases, violence, which is why casual fans obviously watching, because of the power discrepancy. But that woman is so fast and so sharp, she just makes people wilt, and it's insane, and she beats them at their game.
Yeah,
whatever their game is.
She, for the last world championships I fought at for Muay Thai, she fought there as well.
Oh, really?
And she knocked everyone out.
Fuck.
Yeah.
There's levels. There's just such big levels.
She was incredible. And I remember everyone, like our whole Australian team were like, shit, that Valentina chick's fighting now, we've got to watch it. And we sat there, and little did we know that in...
Oh, did you physically watch her?
Yeah, we were
in
there.
Person?
We were there competing, and she was there. And, you know, little did we know, 5 years' time, she was going to be the biggest name in UFC.
How many years ago would this have been then? Like 10?
Oh, nah, not even. It wouldn't have even been 10 years ago.
No shit.
Nah, it would have been maybe 6 years ago.
Before her, Joanna was the scariest woman on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
She was fucking mean.
Yeah. To think about how small she is. Like, if you were to stand next to her, you'd be like, this chick is tiny.
You don't realise how tiny they are, because on TV, everyone obviously, I think, looks a bit bigger.
Yes.
But even Valentina, she's a small girl. She'd be smaller than you.
She's taller than me.
Okay.
What's her weight? I don't know what she is in...
I believe she's 115 pounds.
What's that in kilos?
That would be about 50... Fuck.
57?
About about that. 2.2 pounds to a kilo.
Yeah, because in Muay Thai she was at 60 kilos.
So she would have been fighting pretty big. Or big for her.
Well, big for her, yeah. So I reckon she'd be like 55 to 57, surely. But yeah, she's not... Like, she's staunch, but she's not big. Like, if you were to stand next to her, you'd be like, oh my god, that...
Her and her sister have the weirdest fucking life. They don't live anywhere.
They're always travelling.
They're travelling... Oh, fuck. They're travelling all around the world, and they just train... I think she trains at Tiger Muay Thai a lot.
Yeah.
But then she has to be some form of spy. Like...
She seems that way,
she does fucking... Have you seen her with a pistol? She does, combat training with a pistol. 100% she's some form of spy.
Or she's just a hitman.
She put a picture of her up in, like, a red dress ages ago on Instagram with a gun holster. And I was like, she's just, like, making it obvious now. She has to be some sort of Russian intelligence. It's insane.
Probably.
But then there's her sister. Her sister's pretty good too, but you'd just be like, she's that sister. You know what I mean? She's a phenomenal fighter.
She was wicked at Muay Thai as
She's
well.
phenomenal.
Yeah, she is. It's just hard when you've got that sister that's like...
The best at something. Yeah.
She's the GOAT.
I think she'd be the greatest female fighter of all time. People say that Amanda Nunes is, but I think Valentina's way more impressive. If you pound for pound put them in the same weight class, same attributes, Valentina wins 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I think so. I think Valentina's, I am a Joanna fan.
I love Joanna.
Yeah, I'm a fan, but Valentina's amazing.
Did you see the first fight with Joanna and Zhang Wei Li, where she did that to her head? That was crazy. A war. Maybe the greatest female fight in UFC history.
Yeah, that's going down in history for sure.
It was insane.
Because that was a semi-main too.
Yeah, it was a co-main.
And I remember...
It stole the whole show.
Yeah.
It stole the whole show.
And everyone was like, wow, that should have been the main event.
It was insane. It stole the whole show. And then you got Chris Cyborg, who's fucking... You could put her in there with a man... And she would just kill them. She's so vicious and violent.
She is.
Terrifying. She has to have had some... I think she's had testosterone issues before, where she's been popped for testosterone.
Don't know, but she's a unit.
She's a fucking terrifying woman.
She's one, though, where you would stand next to her and be like, shit, you're big.
Yeah, she's apparently... I think, she fights at 155 pounds. She can make 145... But 155 pounds is 78 kilo.
78 kilo.
155. Fuck, I don't have my phone here. 155 is 70. It'd be around 76 kilo, 78 kilo.
Wow.
Yeah. Big chick. And that's
big.
Shredded. So she probably walks around at 85 kilos.
Oh, probably heavier than that.
Or she has horrible weight cuts because she has to cut so much weight. So I'm not sure. What's the normal weight cut? 10 kilo?
Oh, everyone's different. Females are less.
Females have harder weight cuts as well, don't you?
Yeah, so...
Obviously, when you factor in periods and that throughout the month.
It's next level. We can put 2 fighters at the gym in the sauna and the guy will come out and have lost a kilo and the girl will come out and lost 400 grams. So... Yeah, we definitely don't let most of our fighters cut weight hard at all, but especially the girls, it messes with their system and hormones and stuff. It's not worth it.
Do you agree with weight cutting?
To an extent.
Some people fucking overdo it.
Way overdo it, and you know what? I was 100% one of them.
You used to was it for a competitive edge almost? You'd do it.
It was just my division. So I'm quite short. So the higher I went up, the bigger they were, height wise, and it was harder. So. And I think once I started winning titles in that one division, I was always trying to make that division so I could defend them or go up or whatever. And back when I was at my peak, there wasn't as much talk around safe weight cutting practices or...
Because Muay Thai is very, very hectic with weight. I think there was a girl that passed away, was it 3 years ago in Queensland from weight cutting?
WA, yeah.
Yeah, Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah.
In your MMA, it's pretty bad too, because you just look at some of these blokes and they're 6'3", not an ounce of fat on them, and they make let's just say 78 kilos, and it's that. How the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, to an extent, I think it's necessary because first of all, it gets the fighter to peak condition. But then...
It's the extra 2-3 kilos that they just... That's what gets them.
It's unnecessary, honestly. And I think there have been things put in place where they're trying to minimise the effects of the weight cut, which is important because it really does fuck people up. I myself have had some pretty serious health issues. I made weight for defending my Commonwealth title and then I was in hospital for 2 weeks. So,
fuck.
I know I've still got the repercussions of that. So, which is why we're so hot on it at our gym, we've got, get them into nutritionists, then we manage their weight. I check their weight every few days.
There's a lot more science to it now too. That's why people can drop phenomenal amounts of weight. Obviously, the more higher echelon you get in promotion, you can afford better training, you can afford this and that. Some of these blokes fighting in MMA now, their training camps are they're so science-based and so technical as to how what you can eat, when you're going to peak, and they can just get off those extra kilos without like sufficing too much of your performance.
Yeah, that's it. Like
but not everyone has fucking $2 million to do that.
No, that's right. There's a lot more resources out there now. Like even our amateur fighters now have got better resources than what I had when I turned pro. So
just little things like recovery centres, like opposite the business that I have on Beach Road. There's that complete recovery now.
Yep.
Like just little places like that offer saunas and ice baths and like those leg recovery things.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
just little things like that.
It is, and I was actually having this conversation with someone the other day. Like, obviously, there's more science involved in all sports right now, and like with fighting and whatever, and there's better recovery and all that sort of shit. But then it's also kind of like, at what point is it taking it too far? Like, at what point are we, like, fighters this day and age are so much softer than what they were back in the day?
I think it's softer, but I think that they're fighting at such a higher level that they need those competitive edges. Like, because back in the day with fighting, I imagine it was more just a tough guys kind of thing. Whereas now they're more athletes.
Yeah, they are. I think there's a few examples where it's kind of like...
Which it's a good thing, though, because, like, you don't want the sport people looking at a fighter and just thinking they're a fucking just some, like, bikie or some just maniac. Like, now you got people like... I'm interviewing that Matthew Stevens on Sunday.
Yeah.
He's like a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like Steve Behan who used to fight. He's a doctor. Like, it's crazy. Like, they're not just like henchmen anymore.
It's a bit different. It's a different world. But yeah, there's a lot of resources out there, and even just when I started going to shows when I was like fresh in the scene, how different it is to now. Like, it's just next level. Like the shit I used to do as a fighter, I would never let my fighters do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very different world.
But it's just everything, like, progresses like that. Like, back if you watch early MMA or UFC fights, it was just dudes that would have had jobs on the weekend. And they just are fighting for $500. But now those dudes that are fighting at the highest level, they could probably go elite in other sports as well. Because they're just fucking athletes now. But they're also spending ungodly amounts of money on their body and recovery, and like you said, it's like a bit weaker.
Yeah, well, yeah, not necessarily weaker, but I mean just...
softer.
Yeah, in a way it is, because it's kind of like back in the day, like they didn't have the resources and whatever. It was just hard work. So mentally you were so resilient and whatever. Whereas now I find like kind of when I was fighting, I talk like that was so long ago. It wasn't even that long ago, but... like you'd have an injury and there was that, you just had to push through. Whereas now, they might get a slight niggle and it's like,
that's just different. That's an age thing, though. That's just an age thing, because the next generation of kids are a lot more. They're very different. They're just very different. They're very different. Soft, like just very soft. Even from, what am I? I'm only 28. I'm turning 29 this year. I see 18-year-olds, and a lot of 18-year-olds work for me. And when we talk to them, like, we're not even the same fucking thing. Like, we're not. And now I understand why people, when I was 18, thought I was a fucking idiot. Because it's like, you look at them and you're like, we're not even the same thing. Like, you're not a person yet. Some of them, most of them, 98% of them, there's 2% that have probably had a hard life that are a bit grown up. But
yeah, it is. Like, we have people come into, like, kids come into the gym, and sometimes I'm just like, was I like that as a kid? It's just
how you're brought up, though. There's kids in Brazil in those favelas, like, growing up with no money. They're not going to be the same 18-year-old I am.
No,
like,
well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, or even Thai kids. Thai kids are fighting when they're 6 for trying to fucking buy rice for their family to eat. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, there's not really any comparison, is there? We just do it for a bit of enjoyment.
Yeah, that's different, though. When those kids probably fucking hate it.
Yeah,
but they have to do it. They're the breadwinners from... Imagine being 8 years old and your dad's like, you got to go earn money or we can't eat. and you're beating the shit out of this other kid.
Yeah, it's next level.
They're not sparring, like they're fighting those kids.
And here we are being like, oh, we couldn't take a loss.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, if they lose, they don't get paid. They probably don't eat.
It's fucking insane. But yeah, like those kids will have a record of like 200 fights by the time they're 15.
Yeah, it's crazy, hey.
I don't imagine there's much longevity in Muay Thai.
There's a few that have proved that wrong, but honestly, like it batters your body pretty bad.
The really famous Thai fighter?
John Wayne Parr?
No, he's Thai. That's going to piss me off. Now we're going to have to look at this up after the podcast. Sanchai.
Yeah.
Sanchai, he's pretty old.
Yeah, he's retired now.
He had his retirement fight only recently, or a couple of years ago.
That long ago, yeah.
John Wayne Parr retired.
He was older.
Thank fuck. I was like, this cunt's going to try and go again. I was like, he needs to stop. I love John Wayne Parr. He needs to stop. I love John Wayne Parr, but he needs to stop. He needs to just train people. It's done. It's done. He's such a weapon, but you don't want to see him.
Well, that last one,
there's going to be, if he keeps going, there's going to be that fight that's going to fucking ruin his life.
Yeah, it's not. But you know what? I'm sure when you're in that, you don't feel that. Like he probably just feels like he could keep going.
He probably bashes the shit out of young kids at the gym all the time.
Probably.
Yeah. Have you been to Banter? Have you trained there?
I've visited. I haven't trained there myself, but a couple of our fighters have been up there. So
Josh went there recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He said it's amazing. He loved it. John Wayne Parr was actually teaching the class.
Yeah, he teaches a lot of it. Like they're very active.
You wouldn't imagine, like you'd think that he wouldn't be training like the public, but he does.
Yeah, and he did a seminar in Adelaide, and he actually came to our gym to do some sparring with a couple of fighters. And
that's cool.
He was the nicest. Like I've met him a few times now, and he's the nicest guy. Like he's like obviously this big name, but
he's just like a bloke at the gym.
Yeah, and he's just so nice, and you wouldn't even know how, the caliber of who he is.
Have you met Jazzy?
No, I haven't, but some of our fighters have when they've we've got a few that fight up in Queensland quite a bit.
She's your size, isn't she?
She's a lot smaller.
She's smaller. I was going to say, fight her.
I could never make that weight.
Yes, I didn't realise how. Is she really small then?
She's small.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like light 50s.
Really light 50s? Yeah, right.
Tiny. This is what I mean. You can't guess people's sizes.
Nah, you can't off the internet. No, you cannot.
Whatever, yeah, you can't guess. But yeah, she's tiny.
I probably look like I'm 6'6" on social media.
Well, your dog definitely does.
Yeah, I had to. Actually, it wasn't too bad today. I have to fucking pre-warn everyone before they come here, because some people say they're okay with dogs, but when they see like a dog like that, they're not okay with dogs. Like their mum might have a Shih Tzu, and like they think they love dogs, but then when you find out if people really like dogs when they see a Rottweiler.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Because if you're not okay around him, like if there's been a lot of occasions where people don't like dogs and Bruno's around and they're very mean to him, and
really?
He got fucking booted in the head when he was a puppy. When we were walking him.
No.
Yeah, he ran up to this lady. We were at a dog park, and my missus almost beat the living shit out of this lady. I wasn't there, but I'm so surprised that lady left with her teeth. But because my dog ran up to her, and he was just a puppy. He was only like 10 kilos at the time. He was like this big, and he ran up to her, and like to play, and she fucking booted him right in the head. So like I think, especially Rotties and stuff, because they're so dominant, I think they can tell when people don't like them, or when people are being weird and they kind of do weird mannerisms.
They can feel the tension.
Yeah, and it builds a tension, and it freaks me out. But if you're fine with him, he'll just come in and like lick you and be chill. But,
if someone did that to my dog, I reckon that's the only time I'd get into a fight.
Oh yeah. If I would have straight up elbowed her.
Deep to the face,
I don't
flying
care.
me.
Nah. But
yeah, that's not okay.
He's been bitten a lot by other dogs as well. I don't know why. He's just been fucked over a lot. But he's fine. But ever since we got him to sex, he's a bit funny with males, but he loves female dogs. He likes small dogs as well because he grew up with like Josie the Dachshund.
Sausage dog.
Yeah. You got a few dogs, eh?
I've got 2 of my own and then 2 puppies that I'm fostering at the moment. So it's an absolute madhouse.
Do you have any girls? A girl? Do you foster? Is it?
I've got the 2 girls. The puppies are 2 girls.
Really, my mother-in-law's looking for a new dog. She wants to. She wants to get a rescue though.
Yeah.
Her German Shepherd just passed away about 3 months ago, and it's just killed her. Like,
it's the worst thing.
it fucking nailed her. It nailed her so much. I don't think she realised how much of like more of a companion dog she was, but it just nailed her. But she's finally feeling like she needs another dog. Big dogs are so much work though.
They are.
They're a lot.
I love bigger dogs.
They're more like when Bruno dies, the house will feel empty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he's the size of the house.
Because he just like when we got into sex, they tried to put a fucking cone on him, and they gave us this satellite dish, and he couldn't turn around in our hallway, and I was like, what am I supposed to fucking do with this? So I had to take it off, and I had to buy him like this little e-collar thing. You like blow it up, but I was just like, how stupid are these vets? Like, they gave me this thing that looks like a fucking truck tire to put on him.
That poor dog.
Oh, he's been through the ringer. He fucking jumped through the window a couple of weeks ago. He's such a menace. He's the best dog ever. But if someone tries to come near my front door, he will try and just fucking tear it down.
Well, that's good.
No, but it's very weird because if I bring people through the back, he'll act like how he was to you. He'll come up to you and he'll like sniff you and jump on you and lick you. But then if the same person tried to... If he hadn't met him, if the same person tried to knock on my front door, he would fucking smash his head against it.
What would he do if he got through the door?
Never happened. It's never happened, but I would never put him in that situation. It's kind of good because it's like, I don't need an alarm.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And I don't like... But he's obviously good with family. If my mum comes over, he knows... With people, he knows he's fine, but strangers, he will not let near my fucking front door.
Well, yeah, it's good.
It's just what they're built for.
That's right.
They are the best breed. It's the best... I don't know, I fucking love Rotties. They're just good. You said your brother has 2.
Yeah, and they're huge.
Once you get Rotties, it's just like... I'm used to his size, so I don't find him to be a big dog. But then I see other people's dogs, and I'm like... I see a Staffy, and I'm like... So
tiny.
small.
Yeah, they're tiny. Yeah, my brother's dogs, brilliant guard dogs, like scary as... But then they are the biggest marshmallows with his kids. Like, he's got young kids. And they climb on them and, like, you know, they love them.
They
like,
have very good temperaments.
They love the kids.
Yeah.
Like, they're such good family dogs, you know. Like, they're kind of...
They're very protective.
Very, very protective.
That's the only thing. Like, with family or whoever they grow up around, they're very, very protective of. But they're protection dogs, like but they're very good family dogs. But people get so fucking scared.
I think they just kind of judge them by size.
When we walk the dog, people will physically cross the road to not walk next to us.
Well, at least they're clearing the path. You don't have to go around.
But then there's Josie. Like, if I was after the podcast, I'll show you these videos of Josie. She fucking just full on mauls him. Like, she'll latch onto his face and just try and rip his face, and he'll think it's hilarious. He'll be like, oh, we're playing. So then he'll slap her in the face with his paw, but then she'll get even more mad and try and bite his eye.
It's the perfect balance.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know why the fuck we got a dachshund. That's something... my missus is still like, why did we get a dachshund? Because we can't take them on the same walks.
You can't take one each?
No, because... Josie gets tired after like a K, and she'll just lay down. Oh, we wanted to get her a little trolley that Bruno could pull, maybe, because
that's a good idea.
She's just down for the ride, but fuck, she's horrible to walk because she's got such little legs. She'll walk for an hour, and then she won't push through. She'd make a horrible fighter. When she's tired, she'll just literally just lay on her back and just wait till you pick her up. Bruno could walk for fucking hours and hours, but yeah. All right,
the dog
we'll
life.
wrap this up. Pride end of the year, hopefully.
Yeah.
Anything coming up with boars?
Ooh.
Any fighters coming up? Anything cool?
Oh, stay tuned. We've got something somewhat big that we'll announce soonish.
Do you have does Boars have Instagram or does
Yeah, we're on Instagram and Facebook and
BOARS?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, we've got 3 fighters making their debut next weekend at Don Polsky on SA Muay Thai League. I think Miles has got a couple on there as well. I saw the card today. Yeah, it's huge. 30 fights. It's massive.
Bloody hell.
That's massive.
Where is Muay Thai League? Where do they hold it?
Well, they've been all around the place at the moment. I think this is their 3rd or 4th event, but it's just amateur fights, so all padded except for the last 2.
And is that's same day weigh-ins, isn't it?
Yeah. So full amateur conditions, like, it's not the lights and all that sort of stuff. It's just in and out. So 30 fights, a great way for fighters to start out. So we're chucking 3 in there, see how they go, and yeah.
On shows like that, you can just kind of chuck them in, see how they go, because there's a lot less risk.
A lot less pressure as well. The fighters don't mind getting in there. It's not that big hype to a night show.
See if it's for them.
Yeah, it's a really good way to do it, and it's also low cost for the promoters. They can just chuck them in, get everyone experienced, and then it's good for promoters that also, like myself, that do the pro shows, because it means that we're getting more experienced people up and stuff. So yeah, it's a good filter system that we got going on at the moment.
Boom. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much
for
having
talking.
me.